This is Duke University.
I have always loved the outdoors. Anything that puts me next to dirt or animals or trees, water, that makes me happy. I grew up in overalls with a mud ball in my hand, as opposed to my sister, who's 11 and is growing up in a princess dress with an iPad in her hand. And I love that. Even now, I would rather shave my head than most parts of my body. But it wasn't always that way. There was a year of my life that I look back on as the dark ages, but most people would probably just look back and think, oh, she was a 14-year-old girl. Every summer, my family would go spend time in our cabin up near Lake Tahoe in Northern California that my great-grandparents had built. And the year that I turned 14, my brother was 10, and so that meant, according to my dad, that we were old enough finally to go on a real backpacking trip. And by real backpacking trip, I mean taking a hike that would take normal people 6 hours and turning it into a 2-day or 2-night, 3-day ordeal. And no matter how small a backpacking trip is, it takes a lot of preparation. There's two philosophies that all good backpackers live by. One is pack efficiently, and two is leave no trace. Now, you're carrying everything you could possibly need with you, and that's heavy. Also, if you forget something, you're kind of shit out of luck. And the idea that you bring everything with you and you bring it back with you, that's leave no trace. So you don't want to leave candy wrappers, clothes, anything on the trail. Now, keeping these in mind, I set out to pack for our trip. I ended up with what I consider the necessities. Nail polish, enough clothes to last a week, makeup, of course, and then a chart of what shirts looked good with what pants. See, I knew it was gonna be really difficult to look cute because not only would I be going 3 days without deodorant and face wash and toilet paper, but all I had to wear what I like to call cabin clothes. Now, you know the stacks of Duke free t-shirts that you've accumulated over the years, and when you graduate, you're never gonna wear just because, unless you're sleeping or exercising. But you're not gonna throw them away, right? Because they still technically fit you. Those are cabin clothes. So, crap. Thanks, guys. So anyway, cabin clothes, yes, this is right. So why was it important that I wanted to look cute? That's the burning question as a 14-year-old girl. Well, even though I knew I'd only be with my dad and my brother, if there was the slightest chance at all that I would see any other human being on the trail, I had to look presentable. Also, our family friends had kind of implied that they might want to come up and meet us on the second night, and they had a boy my own age. Did I think he was cute? Not really. Did I want him to think I was cute? Oh, yeah, duh. So the first day was easy. It was beautiful. We basically spent the entire time just walking through the valley that my cabin was in to the foot of the mountain range that we were gonna climb the next day. About an hour or so before sundown, we stopped to make camp at the foot of the mountain range right next to the small stream. And while I'm setting up the sleeping area, my brother is tasked with making dinner, and my dad goes off to find a spot to designate as our toilet. Davis, my 11-year-old brother, was making a trail delicacy, Kraft mac and cheese with really thick, slimy chunks of Spam, which is the lowest of the low in terms of meat byproducts, in case you guys aren't fortunate enough to know its salty deliciousness. So my dad comes back after about a half an hour and he's beaming, and he takes me down the trail to admire his handiwork. All he's done is taken a small, wet, moldy log and wedged it between a tree trunk and a boulder. So it's like a wooden bar that you can perch on while you do your business. No hole, just a lovely pile of evidence that he's already tried it. And as I'm staring at this evidence and at the soggy, gross log I'm supposed to sit on, all I'm thinking is, no, definitely not. Ew, are you kidding me? I vowed right then and there that if I needed to go, I would just hold it. 2 nights, I can do it. The next day was the brutal day because we had to climb swishbacks up the mountain in the hot sun. And by the time that we finally crested the trail and got to the end, it was so beautiful. There was a small clearing with a makeshift fire pit and logs that you could sit on where we were gonna set up our camp right at the end of the trail. And about 50 feet from that was a really small, shallow lake. And it was so clear and so smooth like glass. And just beyond the lake was the true face of the mountain, probably about 200 or 300 feet above it. And the peak was so stark, it just pierced the blue, cloudless sky. My dad went to go set up camp, and Davis and I dropped our packs and we went to go explore because on the mountain face was a huge patch of snow. So we skirt around the lake, and once we get to the edge of the snow, we just take off running. The chill air, the fresh outdoors, it was invigorating. And we make it to the middle of the snow patch and just pause. And we're looking up, and I'm looking at the silhouette of the rocks against the sky and just humbled by how small I feel. And then Davis throws a snowball at my face. So naturally, I stoop to pick up snow and hurl it back at him. But as I raise my hand, I freeze. A sudden weight drops through my stomach. Davis notices my expression changing and asks what's wrong, but all I can do is let the snow fall from my hand as I feel invisible knives digging into my lower stomach. I knew I had to act fast, so I just screamed, "Get the hell out of here, Davis, run!" I stick my thumbs into my waistline, pull my pants to my ankles, and squat. I had to wait about a split second, and then it happened. Apparently, Spam looks just the same coming out as it does going in. Now, as I'm watching Davis make it all the way back to camp and feeling last night's dinner release, but totally betraying the vow that I had made to myself to just hold it in, there's the betrayal, I noticed that he's come back to the tent and he's wildly gesturing at my dad, pointing back at me because you can see everything. Oh, lo and behold, there's more bodies at our camp. Oh, our friends showed up. So I'm sitting there, releasing, watching them, watching me, absolutely mortified. I mean, my face was so red and hot, I probably could have melted the snow around me. And I can't move because I'm not finished. When I finally do finish, I look around me, still squatting, and realize there's not a bush, a tree, a shrub, anything nearby that I can use for toilet paper. I kind of look back at the camp, see my dad hesitantly wave, and I do the only thing I can think of to do. I take off my shirt, and I use that. So I come back into camp, shirt in hand, and I'm not sure if I should be more embarrassed of that or the fact that I'm wearing cabin clothes, one of the training bras, hideous training bras that my mom bought me the year before I turned 14 and developed what I thought were real breasts and demanded Victoria's Secret style bras. You know, this is flimsy fabric with weird bows, and it's that nude color that no one's skin color actually is. That's what I'm wearing as I approach my father, my brother, and our family friends and this kind of cute boy. My dad, ever the support, goes, "Better out than in." I take a stick, eyes down, not saying anything, move to the lake, and just plunge the stick through the armhole in the shirt so that it can dry, or wash, and then I'll dry it. Now, the problem was the stain was extremely visible amongst all of that pristine white snow. So it was the last thing we saw when we went to bed that night and the first thing we saw when we crawled out of the tent in the morning. And Unfortunately, I wish I could have just ditched that shirt on that mountain, but that's not exactly leaving no trace. It would have preserved my unwavering narcissism and self-proclaimed perfection, but I'd already done enough damage to the snow. So I literally and figuratively had to carry my dirty laundry back into camp with me. And I guess the last thing I should say is let this be a cautionary tale to all of you in the audience who think that you're still hot shit. The universe has a really good sense of humor. Thanks.